This episode is sponsored by the Twindle Foundation. Learn more at www.twindlefoundation.org.
Let's talk.
So many people stay hidden due to fear. Fear of judgment, shame, or even guilt. You are not alone on your journey. Girl, you are not alone. This is a safe place. A place to be heard, a place to be free, a place to be yourself. Bring your girlfriends and let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Tell us about who you are and what you do.
Yes, so my name is Misha and I'm the founder of Goals AF. I am a confidence and business coach. So I help women in business become more fearless and confident so they can start achieving their goals, whether they are starting out or been in the game for 5+ years, but they're feeling stagnant. So that's pretty much what I do. I've been in the industry for about several years now, but I've been full-time for the past 2 years and some change. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty exciting. I do a lot of one-on-one and I'm working on releasing a group coaching program as well.
Oh, very nice. Tell me, what did you do prior before you started your business?
So I do have other businesses. I have a streetwear line, but I also used to work in the corporate world, mainly in the banking industry and the tech industry. So I was a senior executive assistant for about 7-8 years. And then I decided to just take the plunge and do this entrepreneur thing full time.
Gosh, I have so many questions off of just the little stuff that you've already said. What made you decide to take that leap, that leap of faith and just jumping out there and just said, you know what, I'm transitioning. It's time for me to go.
To be honest, I've always been a hustler, entrepreneur since I was young. Mm-hmm. This is something that I've seen in my mom. She used to have her corporate job, but then she'll have her side hustles where she would be selling designer clothing, or she had her own beauty supply shop. So it's just like that's something that always inspired me, and I kind of picked that up from a young age. Me and my sister will bake, go door to door and say, hey, we're selling brownies, or we'll set up a stand and sell nail polishes, jewelry, everything. So I knew that this was just in me. Mm-hmm. So I kind of created a plan. I said, okay, I'm going to set up some emergency funds where I could support myself for an X amount of months or a full year. And I'm just going to quit.
Wow.
And I kind of just did it.
That was definitely bold. Because there's so many women that are now branching out and starting their own business, or there's so many women that are tired of trying to climb the corporate ladder and they're just are feeling stagnant, and they're just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it on my own. You know, I'm gonna put all of my energy into something that I believe in or I'm passionate about and make this work for me. And so kudos to you for just, going out there and just doing it, because starting a business, it could be very scary, especially for the transition, from the pandemic that we've been going through, that we've been in for quite some time now. Tell me about that. When the pandemic hit, what was that feeling like for you, and how did it affect your business, or if it even affected it at all?
It just made me go harder. Mm-hmm. Because I kind of quit my job around a little bit before the whole pandemic really took full force.
Right.
And I was just like, you know what, Misha, you literally have one life to live. Yes. And you are choosing happiness every day. This corporate job does not fulfill you. Granted, it pays the bills. It has you, free for 48 hours on the weekend, but it doesn't fulfill you. So I was just like, you know what? I was already an entrepreneur part-time. I had multiple businesses while I was working. So I'm just like, you already know what it takes. now it's time for you to like scale and kind of step out of your comfort zone and just take the plunge. Like, what do you have to lose, to be honest? What do you really have to know that you actually did it? Whether for me, I look at life, there's no such things as failure. Right. It's just a lesson. Whether it's extremely expensive.
Because it's going to cost you something.
It's going to cost you something. But at the end of the day, to know that you actually went through with it says a lot about you and says a lot about like your confidence and how determined you are to actually succeed at whatever you put your mind to. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I originally lived in Toronto.
Really?
So yeah, I'm from Toronto, Canada. And I was just like, you know what? I'm moving to Atlanta.
Wow.
I'm moving to Atlanta. Yep. I came out of a divorce, 11-year marriage or relationship, 2 years out of the time I was married. So I was just like, you know what? This is just like a perfect time for a fresh start. Pick up me and my dog and go to Atlanta.
Wow. You know what? And it's so crazy. It's crazy that you said that you moved from Toronto and just went to Atlanta. When I was younger, when I was in high school, I used to work for a beachwear store down at Myrtle Beach. And all of the beachwear stores were basically owned by Jews. And so there would be people that would come and listen, I'm like 15 years old and we had people that work with me that was from Canada. And they just said that we just drove down for the summer. And we're just going to spend the summer here and work and soak in the beach, have a good time. And I thought that was the boldest move ever. Like, I had never heard anything like that before. Well, of course I was 15, so really I didn't know a whole lot, but I just thought that was so amazing for people to just feel that free, that they could just, because for me, I never saw that done before. Like, I've never known anyone who says, I'm just going to pick up and I'm going to go and I'm just going to enjoy. They didn't know if they were going to find jobs. They didn't know if they were going to have enough money. It was just a group of people. They had roommates and they just made it work. But sometimes it wasn't as easy as they planned because I guess the cost of living was a little bit more than expected. And some of them end up working like 2 jobs to pay like the rent and stuff like that. But they made the best of it. And they were just like, well, we have our days off. And so we still get to enjoy and go around and take a look and see and stuff like that. That's just amazing. That's just like me saying that I've always wanted to go to Paris, but I haven't made that move yet. And so now I put on my vision board that every year I want to be in a place financially where every year I can take 1 month vacation in a different country. That is my goal. That would be my boldness from my childhood, watching someone else and they were young, just as young as I was, just going out there and just living. It's an experience and you only get to live once. So, hey, why not do it? But I think that entrepreneurship gives you that flexibility, because if I worked a corporate job, there's no way in the world that I'd be able to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, because that's what's happening.
Absolutely. It definitely does. But it's freeing. And I feel like living this entrepreneur life, it's great. It definitely has its cons, you know what I mean? Especially like when you're starting out, you are solely depending on yourself for income. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to snap into that hustler mentality, but it also gives you the freedom to kind of map out your life the way that you've always dreamed of, or that's best suited for you. And, those who choose to have a 9-to-5 and have that structure, I feel like everything works for everybody. The entrepreneur life is not for everyone.
It's not.
Because there are some things that will drive you insane, but, to each his own. And sometimes you just gotta trust in yourself and take that leap of faith.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad that you said leap of faith, because you know what? I think that in anything that we do, we have to have faith in God, knowing that he's going to bring us through, or he's going to carry us through. And then faith in ourselves, just believing that, you know what, I can do this regardless of what happens. And when you used the term success, I was thinking in my head, like, success it's different for everyone. Everyone defines that in a different way, because me being successful isn't that, oh, I made six figures, or oh, I became a millionaire. That's for me, that's not what success looks for. So it's different for everybody, you know. So as long as you know what that means to you, you could be successful in anything. So even if you fall flat, it's just like, hey, it's a lesson learned, but also it's a part of your process. And my thing now for my life, I always think about, even when it's bad, it's still good, because there's always something good that comes out of everything. And no matter what you lose, you never lose it. I feel like if I lose something, I look at it as if, man, sometimes you become emotionally attached to things, but I always say it's a seed sown, and that seed is going to produce something else in my life. So I look at it as I'm just giving it back so that it can return back to me. So that's how I try to look at life, even on those rough times. I try to look at it in a positive light and just keep moving forward, because if not, you'll just become boggled down, and then you'll start to worry or just question your not your motives, but you'll start to question whether or not you should have done it, you know?
Exactly. And something that like I too always like to live by is everything has an expiration date. And it's important to enjoy what you have to the fullest at that current time, and to learn how to let go of it when it's time for you to level up.
Yeah.
And what I always speak to my clients about is that the only thing that we have control over is our present. We don't have control over our past, and we don't have control over our future. We only have control over our present. So what we do today helps us get to where we need to be, but we have to be present every step of the way. And I feel like that's sometimes what holds a lot of people back from actually excelling, because sometimes they set these high goals, and their mindset is so set on, okay, I need to make $15 million. They're like, $15 million, $15 million. Oh my gosh. But if you actually break that down and start achieving those small goals, what could you do today to help you get to 15 million? Then things become a little bit more easier. So it's definitely all about the mindset and learning just to be present.
Yes.
Because we don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow.
No. Yes, that's so good.
Today, why are we not fulfilling these relationships that we have with our loved ones or our friends or acquaintances or partners? Why are we not fulfilling that every day that we wake up? Just choose to be happy.
You know what? That was so good, because happiness is a choice. We choose to be whatever it is that we want to be. And so when you say, the expectations of goals and not reaching them, and that is one thing, like I've kind of gotten away from that, because I've seen where I put everything into something and it doesn't pan out the way that I expect it to. And so now let me tell you something. I've rid myself of all of that variation of things, and what the high expectations that I put on myself, and what other people place on me. So now I have my vision board, and I just write the vision, right? And I always say, whenever God's timing is, that's when it's supposed to happen. And so for me, even if I say, oh, I want to be a millionaire, or oh, I want to be this at this time, it's almost like, okay, well, the first question is why? And then the second part is how are you going to get there? Because in order to become something, like, you have to have some systems in place to reach that goal. And a lot of times we just say that we want to do it, like, I want to become a millionaire, but then there's no path to that. So how are you going to get there? Are you planning on winning the lottery, or how are you? I don't play the lottery, so that's not going to work for me. So what systems do I have in place that's going to help me to navigate to get to that place? So then I had to think about that, because I'm just like, okay, God, well, how do I get there? And so then I started thinking, okay, I need systems. And then I just started seeing a path. That doesn't mean that I'm automatically going to get there. And there's no time frame for that. But at least I have those systems set up in place so that God could push me into that direction, or make things come into. So I think that's the biggest part for people. We have goals and expectations, but we have no systems in place in order to get there.
You got to have a game plan. You got to have a system to provide, to get you in the right direction. You need to know where you're going, because as my mom likes to say, the blind can't lead the blind. So
I always say that so I don't know why, but I was in this place where I felt like I was allowing people to, I felt like I was on a bus and I was going around in a circle and I wasn't leading, you know what I'm saying? I was just going around, but I didn't have a clue where I was going, you know? And so I heard this lady said this, and I've told the story so many times. She says, are you the driver of your car or are you the passenger? What does that mean? Am I the driver and the passenger? There's things in our lives that dictates where we're going or holds us back from places that are things that we want to accomplish. And it's just like, if I'm waiting for this to happen, someone that's married and said, well, my husband doesn't want to do this, or my husband this, or my kids this. And so that means that those people are the ones that are driving your vehicle. They're driving your future. You're allowing them to hold you back. So it makes you stop and reevaluate things. And even when I build relationships, it's so hard because sometimes you come into relationship and you build stuff with, you know, saying partnerships, relationships with other people. And then you allow them to tell you the direction that you should take. And sometimes it may be good and sometimes it may not be good, because sometimes people push off on you what they feel like this is how it should go. And sometimes most people just kind of go with the flow. And it's just like, yeah, no, I'm almost like, I'm going to hear you out and I'm going to allow you to. But when I get to that point to where I know I'm gonna just cut ties, you know, but I do it in a really good way. Like genuinely, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna give you an opportunity. But when I realize that this is not working for me, or when I've had enough, I always have like a tolerance. And it just depends on what season I'm in. But I do have a little tolerance that I give a little wiggle room for people. And then I just like, you know what, this is not working for me. So at least I give it an opportunity to see if it's going to work. And when it's not, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Absolutely. And that's why I also feel like it's important to every day work on yourself. Because when you work on yourself every day, you start aligning with the people that, you know, understand you. And you also start aligning with people that represent your future.
Yes.
So sometimes you, on the journey of growth, you're going to be tested every day. Every day. Sometimes you're going to have certain people try to come back into your life just to see how far you have actually excelled with yourself.
Right.
So that's something that, you know, life is funny. Life is funny. It will always try to test you, but you definitely have to be strong. And you cutting ties with people is you respecting yourself and your boundaries. Saying like, you know what, I see that, you know, we don't align, we don't speak the same language, you know, it's not going to work out. It's okay for this relationship to end, because the most important thing with relationships is that you both need to be fulfilled. Right. You both have to pour into each other's cup. So whether that goes for a romantic or friendship, whatever, it needs to be a two-way street. You can't be giving and
receive nothing. You're not back. Where's the reciprocity? Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. And there was something else I was going to say, but I'm going to let you keep going, because there was something I wanted to add in there, but I forgot what I was going to say. I hate that. It was good too. It was really good.
But yeah, that's, for me, that's definitely what I've been going through these past couple of years. This journey of growth by myself. I ended a lot of relationships, friendships that, you know, no longer served me. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
And I'm perfectly, there's, you know, they always try to come back and say, you changed. I'm like, of course I changed. I elevated. You know what I mean? And it's okay. I always try to, you know, let people know, like, hey, like, it's okay. Let's take this for what it is.
Yeah.
We outgrew each other. We don't align with each other. And it's fine. Like, there's no animosity between the two. There's no hate, no nothing. It's just that what I'm on and what you're on, it doesn't click.
Alignment is off. I think that's the hardest part for people, because when there's someone assigned to you, because that season is going to change, that season is going to end at some point. And you also know when there's just people that's just trying to hold on to you to ride the wave. And my biggest thing with that is that because a lot of times, especially in business, people will try to carry people with them. Like, a lot of times the people, gain a lot of wealth or become a celebrity or something of that nature or whatever. They always try to take people with them for the ride, and then they end up hurt and disappointed because that person has done something, or they are upset because you've changed, because you've elevated, and you don't even realize that those people no longer serve you, and they may not have served you from the beginning. And so there's this saying that people would say, God won't put on us no more than we can bear. And I said, you know what? Quit taking people into seasons that they're not supposed to be in. You're putting a burden on someone that they haven't been equipped for, because we always get tested and we go through a lot of persecution before we reach a certain level. Those people don't have no clue. They don't understand. They have not felt that weight. They have no idea what they're walking into. And you're taking them into an area that they're not ready for, because God hadn't sent them there. They sent you, but you wanted to carry somebody else. And so it's like you're a part of the problem as well, too, because you're placing a burden on them that they're not even ready for. So leave these people alone and allow them to find their own purpose. And so God can lead them to wherever it is that they're supposed to be. There was a place here to be your follower. They're not your disciple. Let those people go. So that's the hardest part for me. And I think I think that a lot of people should hear that, or need to be more aware of it, because we can carry people in places that they're not supposed to be in. You go where God leads you, and then pray that they find their purpose and their vision that God has for them, and so that they can go and do what it is, because they need to find their own identity and their own purpose, so that they can live the life that God has promised them, and not try to just hold on to someone else. Because what type of life is that? What have you learned? What are you gaining for yourself?
And that's the thing. What I've noticed is that sometimes, and I had this discussion with my sister and my friend, is sometimes we're so caught up on the number of years we've known someone for. It's like it's a celebration for someone to say, I've known this person for 22 years. But out of the 22 years, how fulfilling was that relationship? You guys argued all the time. They were probably envious, or you were probably envious of them. You guys talk smack behind each other's back. There was so much more negative than there is positive, but we are glorifying the amount of years that we've known this particular person, so we can post it on our social media and say, I'm so happy to be your friend for 22 years. And some of your peers are looking at you, girl, wasn't she just talking smack about you like 2 weeks ago? So it's just like, you have to learn when a relationship has come to an end. You have to let that go. And sometimes that goes back into your trauma, where you are afraid of being alone. You are afraid of being abandoned. And we bring that into our adulthood. That's why we're holding on to our day ones, or we're holding on to relationships, or we're jumping into relationships time and time again, because we are afraid to be alone. And when you're afraid to be alone, you're afraid because you're afraid to be with your thoughts. Your thoughts. Yeah. And that's why with the pandemic, so much relationships have came to an end, because they're just like, whoa, wait a second. I didn't know this side of you. I'm used to being out, working my 9 to 5, see you for like 30 minutes and then going to bed. We're latching on to things and people for kind of our own selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you have to learn to end relationships in order for you to scale to the next level, or you're going to be in this instant circle or this turmoil of the same events keep occurring because you're not learning.
Yes. And and that applies to in business as well, even in corporate. Like, there's sometimes you have to know when to let that job go, because a lot of times people are held back from their growth because they're afraid to even people are afraid not to just become an entrepreneur or step out and become an entrepreneur, but people are afraid to even change jobs because, what if I don't like the people, or what if I have to take a pay cut? There's always that fear of letting something go or someone go just because of fear. And, and I don't want to say it could be like a sense of codependency, but sometimes you just rely on people or that paycheck or that job, for fulfillment, and you're afraid to just let go, be free, and just go out there and do what you're supposed to do, or what you feel that could fulfill your life or calling. So that, I think that makes a lot of sense. That's definitely what you said. Sometimes you just got to know when to cut ties and just move on. And even when I worked out before I became an entrepreneur, that was my life too, because I was afraid to let go. Now I would eventually do it. I would get to that point where I say, because I have high tolerance now, so I'll allow things for a while until I get to that breaking point, and then I make my exit. And there was a lot of fear in there, even like transitioning jobs, or when I didn't get job positions. And you just stay in there, and then you see you're qualified, you put in, but you see the next person, and it tormented me. It caused a lot of mental issues, just feeling like, just the rejection. Well, why didn't I get the job? I know that I was qualified, and then you start to feel, well, I'm not enough. But you want to be fulfilled in everything that you do. So listen, that was something that I had to work through and learn to just to let go when it was time to let go and free myself from that. I want to live a happy life. And that, again, that is a choice, just like you said.
Exactly. And everyone deserves to live a happy life. And sometimes when, let's say it's even you starting a business or leaving your job, sometimes we self-sabotage before it even happens. We think about all the negative crap that can occur. And this is where we are allowing our thoughts to lead us instead of what are actual facts.
Yes.
So
even with your emotions. That's
exactly
right.
Exactly. So we're already sabotaging a beautiful thing that can occur because we are fearful. We're afraid. It's a scarcity mindset. So that's why it's also important to reframe your mindset, especially being an entrepreneur, because it takes a different type of mind and a thick skin to actually succeed being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You have to be okay with, today you might not make any sales, but what did you take away from that day? What did you do to help you possibly have a better day tomorrow? And when entrepreneurship is about, right now, it's very popular because everybody sees the material things.
Yep.
They see the flashy cars, the designers, everybody wants a Birkin bag. But they don't understand that those people that had their moment, their aha breakthrough, they were putting in that work for a long freaking time. If you see a lot of these, let's say it's a celebrity story, and they're just like, yeah, I did a lot of talent shows from when I was 3 years old, and I've been, I couldn't go to sleepovers, birthday parties because I had practice, XYZ. They were already making a lot of sacrifices to get to where they are. But the only thing that's highlighted is their breakthrough, their overnight success. And they don't understand that they've been doing this for years.
They've been disciplined during that process from a very young age. They were already giving up. They were already sacrificed. They were becoming disciplined. They were building a mentality. So, they knew exactly what it took. So when they even got to a certain place in their lives, they had already had that determination, that will, that drive to keep going. Even when they did fail, they've had some hiccups along the way from the very beginning, but that's the part that we don't see. All we see is the success, but we don't know when that person started. Just like you said, we don't know what they were giving up. We don't know what they sacrificed. We don't know what life looked like. The only thing that we saw was the life when it's spotlighted, when everything was beautiful. And that's what I think that's what social media does. And that's what the media does. It glorifies things. And then there's people that want to fall into that path and they have no idea what it takes. It's like we hear this all the time. You do this, start a business, buy some land, do this, do that. But we never tell people what that process looks like. I've heard all of my life, go to college, when I was growing up, go to college, get an education, then you can get a good job. That's not how it works. It doesn't. So they missed a whole step. Well, what happened with that education, the money that you borrow, and then you get that job, and that good job can barely afford to pay for that education that you have. No one says hey, listen, you have to pay that education back. You know what I mean? So I think that sometimes we're just kind of misinformed, or we have some missing pieces that we need to fill in. We really need to take time and think about that type of stuff, research, or sit down and talk with someone about what their process looked like. And, exactly. And that's key for business as well, too. When I started a business, I was so fascinated. At 6 years old, I used to see these infomercials. It was like for some type of online college institution. And they say, or you could be a CEO. And then they said you can make six figure. And that was played in my head since I was 6 years old, watching this on Saturday morning, every single Saturday morning. And so I knew that I wanted to study business and I wanted to be a CEO of a company, or own my own company, and I wanted to make six figures. That's what I grew up with. And so that was the dream that I chased. That dream burnt me out. It wasn't worth it. And it was no purpose in there. Your purpose shouldn't be to make six figures, because why do you need to make six figures? Why was that so important to me? It wasn't because someone told me, well, I saw it on TV. That's what I was supposed to do. That's what business people did. But there was no substance behind it. There wasn't any, there was no purpose behind the business. Just started. So, hey, I'm going to just get in business and I'm going to make this. And then I started researching and seeing people. When I graduated college, I started working at the Waffle House as a manager, and I read those people's stories. Two guys who wanted to provide a quality a quality restaurant for people that was at a great price, and they wanted to be family oriented. And they started with one, and I was so fascinated. And now these people probably have maybe like 2,500 restaurants all over. And that was just so amazing to me, and so every time I always go and read these company story, I want to know how they started and what that looked like for them. And that, I don't know, but I'm obsessed with business. It's the love of my life. Business is. And so I started my own business. And so even for you, when you talked about having confidence, and confidence is key in business. Like when I was in college, I heard that one of my professors told me that I would have to network. She was like, oh, you want to go in business, or you're going to have to network and meet people. And I was like, network, meet people. I was so afraid of that word. Networking that thing put a fear in me. It did, because I was just like, well, at that age, I'm 21 years old, and I'm thinking, how am I going to meet people? How am I going to network? And I thought that I was going to fail. I really did. That stuck with me for a very long time, because a lot of times younger people, or even people who start a business, if you don't have like a sphere of influence, and a lot of times you see online on social media, people are saying, well, my family or my friends don't support me. Well, those aren't your supporters. And that's why you have to be able to network and get out there and put your business out there and talk to people about what you're doing and what you're doing in the community and how that's going to help others. That's the biggest part, because sometimes your family, your friends, they're not able to see your vision. They're not able to see where you're going. And if they've never seen that happen before, how are they going to believe in you? Because they've never seen nobody else do it. So yeah, that was a very scary word for me, networking. But yeah, you're right. Confidence is definitely key when you're going out there in the business world.
Exactly. And success is on the other side of fear. If your goals, your game plan, your strategy, it doesn't, scare you a bit, it's not big enough. And for someone like me, I'm an introvert for the most part. When I'm around someone that I'm comfortable with, oh, I'm an extrovert. I'm quirky, I'm witty, I joke all the time. But for the most part, I'm an introvert. So me having to, connect with people, network with people, build my network, that was something I too was afraid of. I was just like, you mean I gotta talk to people? But it's like ever since I was able to just step out and, do webinars, go on live, or, create video stories and just talk to my audience, I was just like, this makes a lot of sense, because I'm now attracting my right tribe.
Yes.
My community. And that is the most important thing, especially as a small business. People are buying into you. And because they like you, they will support you.
Yep. And
as you were saying that, people get upset, oh, my family and friends, they don't support me. And it's just like, they're not your audience. Mm-hmm. The least that they can probably do is just like repost or like your content. That's great. But to buy something, maybe that's something that they don't need.
That's true.
And right. We have to be understanding of that. And we can't let that, we can't hold on to that for too long. We just have to understand, okay, you know what? I'm not focused on, what my family and friends think. Like, I know what's right. I know what I need to do. I need to attract my tribe. I need to attract my community. That should always be your focus. And it's important to have that confidence and that mindset of just being positive, no matter what. A lot of this day and age, especially on social media, we thrive off of negativity. We thrive off of just speaking down on someone or things to kind of fulfill us, to make us think that, we're doing something way better than what they're doing. And that is it's a crappy mindset to have. You know what I mean? So that also shrinks the pool of, people being authentic, people being kind.
Yes.
Not being shallowed. So, I tell my clients, like, you need to be authentic. Showcase your personality. Yes. Your personality is your niche. Yes. Because there's people that think like you. There are people who understand your language. You don't have to explain yourself. So the more that you pick up that camera, depending on what industry coach, you pick up that camera and you just start talking. Talk something that brings value to your personality, to your niche, to your community. And it will be way more easier to attract the right people.
Show people who you are. Show people who you are, because someone may be looking for you, or someone with your personality, or someone with your look. Well, if you're following the trend or wanting to be someone else, that's not who you are. And that's not what's going to draw you to someone who's looking for someone that's just like you. I always said that when I was younger, I always said that I was going to be just like Oprah. I used to love to watch her show. And she always had this big giving heart, and she wanted to give people and help people, that type of stuff. And I've always had that giving spirit. Like, I always wanted to help people. And I just said, I'm going to be Oprah's successor. When she steps down, I'm going to step in. And so I finally got to a place where, I don't need to be Oprah's successor. I could just be Twanja Windley, and people are going to want to work with me because of who I am and my heart and my genuineness, that type of stuff. So I just feel like if people would just pull the mask off and stop just pretending, because their story change someone else's life. And the thing is that someone may be waiting to hear that story. And there's all these big companies, these brands, that type of stuff that are looking for people, the right people. And if everybody's following the trend and doing the exact same thing, it's going to be hard for them to find someone that's genuine. If you're just genuine and you're yourself and you tell your true story, even if it hurts and it's vulnerable, that's okay. Be transparent, because someone's going to see that. And there may be someone in a corporate space who, or for some big company, and says, hey, I resonate with your story. My life was like this as well. And look where I am. And they may see you and say, hey, I want to pull you up to this place, or I want to pour into you. And that's the biggest part for people. Stop trying to be like someone else, or stop hiding who you are, and allow your light to shine, because you just never know who's going to spotlight you. And that's what I tell myself. I always say this: there's somebody out there that wants to work with me. And you know what? I'm just going to be true, my truthful self. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to be transparent, not to just, I'm going to put my story out there. So somebody, no, it's more of, I want to help someone. I want to relate. I want someone to know, that you're not the only one. I felt like that for a long time. Like I was the only one. That's the reason why I'm here and right now in this space, creating this podcast. Let's talk about it, because I've had so many conversations over the years with people who I was transparent and I was vulnerable and I poured my soul out. And I got nothing back. People always have this great answer for you, but they act like they're unrelatable. They have no clue, and they want to give some advice, and knowing that they've had those same issues, but I guess they forgot about it. They forgot what they've been through.
They definitely forgot, brand new, acted like that didn't happen, but they don't understand that key thing that happened in their life is what made them successful.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I'm big on is why are we not highlighting our struggle? Our struggle is our success story. Our struggle is what really made us, not flying a private jet, driving in a Rolls Royce, having the latest designer bag. Those are the things that we were able to receive with the hard work that we put on, but that was not how you became successful.
Right.
Your success story came from whether you had $400 to your name and you didn't know how you were going to pay rent. You know what I mean? Your success comes from your struggle. And I feel like it's important to showcase that instead of saying, I can help you make 5 figures. I can help you make 6 figures a month. How? Who are you to tell? Who are you? They don't know you. They don't know you. And it's just that's why it's so important to be authentic and to be
work
yourself.
With people. Work with people that are authentic.
Exactly. And not follow the latest trend. Because the thing with trends is it only lasts a couple of weeks, probably a couple of months.
Yep.
So you have to reinvent and hop on new trends every couple of weeks, every couple of months. That's draining.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
That is draining. And even with the coaching world, everybody wants to jump on and be a coach, but they don't understand there's a key thing that makes certain people a successful coach. You have to have a passion of helping people. This is something that's in you. It's not something that can just automatically be taught. You have to have that passion of helping people. Helping people provides me with some sort of fulfillment. Seeing someone come from point A to get them to point B. That's what brings me happiness. I'm passionate about business. I have a hustler mentality. That's where I come from. But I feel like my biggest struggle story was, the end of my 11-year relationship and marriage, because that's what brought me to where I am today. And I feel like it's so important to be authentic, be real with yourself. There's already people just following the trend.
I want to just go back, and I kind of want to highlight the story of the end of your 11-year relationship / marriage. So when that part of your life was over, and then you shifted and went into business for yourself and you moved to Atlanta, what was your confidence level like? It was okay when it all ended. Did you have the confidence that you have now, or did it take you a while to get to that path of, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people who stay in a marriage or relationship because of circumstances, right? And so sometimes people don't have that confidence. That sometimes they don't know how to pick up the pieces of their lives and how to move forward. And so, they're just stuck down and they're still trying to figure it out. And confidence is key. It plays a big role for that person to be able to pivot or to shift into that next season into their life. And sometimes people don't, because they're stuck. They stay there in that mentality. So talk to me about what your life looked like once you ended that relationship? Because I'm sure there was a process and of healing and grieving in order for you to move to that next level. So yeah, just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm generally and during that time, I realized how confident of an individual I really was.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year that we were separated, I was a wreck. I was like,
as you should.
I don't know if I could swear, but it was just like, oh shit. Like, what the heck is going on? Because as much as I'm able to adapt, there was a bond between T and I. We were together since we were young. I was 18, he was 20. So we kind of grew up together. So we built a romantic relationship, but we also built a friendship. So I was hit with 2 losses. I lost one of my best friends.
Yes.
And then I lost my husband. Or I can't say I lost, but we broke up. So I was just like, dang, like I had to change my routine. Anytime there was something funny, we would message each other, be like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, dang, like I can't.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We are, oh, okay. So this is life right now. So I left my matrimony home and I was just like, you know what? I'm starting fresh. I got myself I moved twice in 1 year actually. But I got myself 2 new places and I was just like, you know what, Misha, what do you want right now? What do you want to do right now? Granted, you are, you ended a long-term relationship that you felt like this was going to be a lifetime partner. But right now you're kind of being tested. This had to end in order for you to step into your truth. So I had to get very logical with myself. The emotional side of me was just like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But I was just like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and throw myself a pity party every day. You're going to get up, you're going to heal, you're going to work on yourself, and you're going to become a better version of yourself. This is not an end all or be all. This is the next phase of your life. So I gave myself that time to heal. But then I also gave myself the opportunity to level the frig up. So during that time, that relationship ended. I ended relationships with friends that I thought that I was close with, all in that 1 year of healing. And I was just like, you know what? I am going to move. I'm going to move because I want to be out of my comfort zone. I don't want to be around anyone that I'm used to being around. I want to start fresh. I picked up me and my dog and I said, we are moving to Atlanta. Wow. I don't know what the hell is going to happen, but my spirit, my heart is telling me you need to pick up and move. So I had confidence that I would figure it out. Why? Because I'm naturally a determined person. If there's a will, there's a way. I will figure it out. Yeah. I am picking up and I am leaving. I've had my family and friends be like, oh, but what are you going to do? You should work on your marriage. You should do this. You should do that. I closed the door. I said no. I closed the door. I no noise. I don't care what you might feel that is right for me. I know what's right for me.
Right.
And I was confident to say, you know what? I've healed enough for me to move on to the next stage.
That was so beautiful. And I'm going to tell you why I said that. The fact that you could just tell your family, because there are a lot of people who stay in marriages, relationships, on jobs, in situations because of family, what people expect from them. And don't know how to live for them, because a lot of times when you allow people in your ear, it starts to make you second guess things, and people don't know what your story is supposed to look, because God created us, and our story is written, it's finished, everything's done, and we just walk that thing out, and then we're listening to someone else tell us what they feel that we should do, and then it's just like you're going against God. It's like I like to tell people, "Oh, you're not talking to me, you're talking to God. Why don't you tell him that this is what you think that I should do?" And so it's just letting go, letting that noise just sound that out, because I know that a lot of decisions that I've made or the things that I've done, I've had someone told me before that I failed myself because I didn't do what they expected me to do. And I didn't get the results that they expected me to get. And so I wasn't mad about the results, but she was. And so she said, well, you know what? The only person that failed you was you. You failed yourself. You failed your family. You failed this. And it's just like, no, I didn't. I'm not going to go in a direction that someone else feels that I should, when I know that I hear God telling me to go this way or whatever. Sometimes it may not make sense to someone else. It doesn't matter what comes off to that person, because it's not their story. Go work on your own story. Go figure it out what you're supposed to be doing. I don't need anyone meddling in my business. And a lot of times people, I've seen it, like I've heard very disheartening stories, and I watch people spirit crush because they're in limbo or conflict with trying to appease their parents. And I'm just like, no. And so before, and I always have this, not to say rebellious spirit, but my parents don't really just tell me what I should do, but I know that sometimes people make some assumptions, or the way that I do certain things, or the things that I say. But you know what? I just say, you know what? It isn't for them. That's this. I'm going to do how I feel. I'm going to do it my way. And if I drop the ball, that's okay. I'll pick the ball back up, because all things are working for my good. So God will work this out for me. And that's just how I live. I want to be free. I don't care what other people think. Worry about yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes those that are trying to project what their opinion onto you is because they are also trying to live through you. They see that you have these balls to just be like, I'm going against the grain. I don't care what you say. Sometimes people want you to be where they are. Or sometimes people want to hold you back. Or sometimes people want to live their dreams through you. So they whisper in your ear saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to go this way, you need to go that way. It happens, and it happens pretty often, and one thing about me, as much as I enjoyed my time with my ex-husband, that really wasn't the rest of my life.
Right.
And I'm not going to let one person really define me. You know what I mean? It was a beautiful unity, but the chapter was time to close.
Yeah. I think that
I did the Most High, and I said, hey, I trust you. I see through you.
I think anything that we've been in for, either if it's a short period of time or a long period of time, it's worth grieving, because we've placed so much energy, time, and effort into those relationships. So it is definitely worth grieving, but it also is definitely, if you're going to walk away from something, take that time and process it, heal through it, and then move forward, because it's not like it didn't matter. Like that person didn't matter, or that job didn't matter, because in everything that we do, we're invested, period. We're invested. And then, but when it is time to let go and move forward, I think that we should know that there's a saying that says that your ladder will be greater, meaning that the days ahead of you are going to be better than the days behind you. And I think that we should focus on that there's so much more greatness ahead of us, and we need to pour into trying to create those memories, create those good moments, create a new beginning, so that we're not stuck and mourning the loss of what was, and then, you know what I'm saying, so that we could focus and enjoy what is to come. Because a lot of times we get so boggled down into what we used to have, or what things should have been, or what it was like, and it's just like, well, let's think about what it could be like, you know, what's to come, because there could be greater love ahead of you, or whatever it is that you're seeking, a greater job, or greater finances, or children. There could be so much more in your future when you let go of the past. I'm not saying to just block it out and pretend like it didn't happen. Now, I try to pretend like some things didn't happen, but it did. And you need to, and whatever that is, you just draw the good things out of it, and you remember that, and then you just move forward. I ended a friendship with someone that I was friends with for like 2 years, and then when I reached out to him, and we talked about some of the, we actually were able to laugh and share a moment, and realize that we were in different seasons in our lives, in different places, and we didn't see eye to eye, but that was okay, because there's still beauty in people and the things that, you know, saying, even I've left jobs and I still have relationships with the people, because I've spent so many years, so many hours, so much time there with those people, growing with them. So I feel like we don't have to cancel those relationships, but there's still a little small piece of it, you know, saying, that we carry in our heart, and hopefully those small pieces are the good times. So you want to remember that, because not everything, just because it ends, it doesn't have to be bad. There's just growth, and it's just time to go. It's just time to move on.
Exactly. I love that you said that. It's very, very true.
Yeah. So if people could just take their business and just know how to elevate that, or when to just move forward, or take it to that next level without fearing that, allowing fear to hold them back from just learning how to move forward, or learning how to build more. It makes a difference. It definitely, you want to elevate whatever it is that you're doing. And sometimes you have to leave some people behind you, but that's okay. And I'm learning that as well too, that sometimes I just have to, cut some ties with people when the vision starts to shift. And if they can't shift along with it, then maybe there's someone else that they could be working with, saying there's someone that may be waiting for them to come into their lives or whatever. So don't hold people back, and definitely don't hold yourself back.
Exactly. And definitely, as being an entrepreneur, it's also important to ask for help.
Oh, help.
And I'm even talking to myself right now. Just because you can do it, it doesn't mean that you should do it all. You need to ask for help.
We're not supposed to do life alone. That's it. Like, you were not supposed to do life alone. We need community.
Yes.
And that's the biggest part. And I think that a lot of times, because when I started my business, and even when I started my foundation, I have someone that works along with me, but there was so many roles in there that was so overwhelming for me, because I had to build a website and do other little things. I'm a creator. Mentally, I can come up with an idea and I can put it down on paper, but I can't do those things. I did. And you know what? It's good to feel like I'm a badass, because I can accomplish things, and I can do this, or I can work on a do-it-yourself project. But in some of these projects, I'm not trying to do it myself. I can't do all of that, because it doesn't allow you to continue to grow or flourish in the areas that you do well in, because you're boggled down with. I was just like, I can't do this, and then you don't, and then I came to a place where I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It was just like it took all the life out of me, because now I'm worried about doing this, and this. And then I had to figure out how to do it, because I've never done it before. I'm all for doing things, but not everything. I just can't. Like, I don't want to be that woman.
Absolutely. And the thing is like, when you don't know something, now you have to put the time into learning it. So that's going to take up way more time, opposed to you just delegating.
Mm-hmm.
Delegate it.
I just realized. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just realized there's this scripture in the Bible, and so this one that I always stick with, and I realized that, and I can't even think of it right now, but I realized that God is in everything, and He promised that He would provide for us. And I think that the biggest part is when we ask for help, God sends someone. regardless of whatever the situation is, when we ask for help, God sends someone. There's someone out there that is assigned to us and that's waiting for us. And I feel, and if not, then still God is going to send someone to help us get from point A to point B. But the biggest part is that we have to open our mouths and not be prideful or just maybe just embarrassed to talk about it or say, hey, I need help. Like I always need help. And not just say, God, I need your help, because he's like, hey, I provided help out there. If you just ask for it, just speak up, because you never know who's going to come to assist you or rescue you from a situation. You just never know.
Exactly. And there's always people that are generally willing to help. They want to help. They want. So it's just, we have to, as being, I guess, overly independent, we have to be comfortable and put our pride and our ego aside and be like, hey, I need help. Can you help me? Or could you point me in a direction where someone can help me? And that's how we really thrive. There's no I in team.
Yes.
You need a team, you need a community. And I feel like that is what's really important. And being authentic, being confident, and just being like, hey, as much as I know it all, I don't know it all, and I don't want to do it all by myself.
Right. No one knows it all. And when you look at these big companies, you always see there's the head, and then underneath there's so many different vessels underneath. There's so many different people and places that are making this company work. And that's the one thing about entrepreneurship. It gives you a lifestyle and freedom if you allow it to work for you. And because you're out there building a business, and until you put people in places, because again, I'm a creator and I don't want to be out there doing all the work. I don't want to be running around, because if that's the case, I could stay in corporate and work for someone else, place people in position so that you could have that freedom. That's my whole idea of entrepreneurship, to get to that place of freedom so that I could spend that 1 month every single year in a different country. When I was in college, I wanted to study abroad, but I wasn't able. So now I said, you know what? I'm going to study abroad. I'm going to go abroad and I'm going to study every different country and learn as much as I can about people, the culture, just see different things. I said, I missed one opportunity, but there's another opportunity that's going to come. And I'm going to set up systems. I'm going to put myself in a place where I'll be able to do that. I want to live my life to the fullest, build my business. I've been doing this for some years, even though like I started working, but again, when I was 14, I worked in many different job roles, and I worked with a lot of different people with different backgrounds, and I've learned a lot. People have taught me a lot, and I've soaked it in all that information as a sponge. And now I want to just go out there and see what I'm able to do on my own. Fly like an eagle, or soar like one at least.
Exactly. And then that's when you'll start attracting all the right things.
Because the thing is, people see your heart and what you're doing and your business stands for. It's going to attract people that's going to say, hey, I want to be a part of that. I want to work for that. Just think about when you worked for corporate, or when you were out there working and you saw a company and you're just like, hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind working for that company. Or, say, let me just see that company's history, that background. I want to, say I might want to work for that. If it's retail, if it's, automotive industry or just whatever, banking, just whatever. And then it's the same thing. You build your business to that point, and so people could say, hey, I like what this company stands for. I like what they believe in. I like their mission statement. I see what they're doing. I want to be a part of that. Because, even if it's, for me, when I serve in other businesses and stuff like that, I just always see, even when I worked in the automotive industry, or when I just worked out here, it was more of, I could be a small part of something big. And that's how other people are going to look at what you have. I could be a small part of something big. That's how my life is on the earth. I'm a small part of something big that God is doing. That's just how I see it. I'm a small part of something big that God is doing. What I may bring may not be as significant, but it plays a role that needs to be played. Whatever I bring, it's needed.
Exactly. And I love how you put that, because it's very true. They're always going to gravitate to something because everybody wants to be a part of. Everybody wants to be a part of a community, a tribe, just even if it's just a small group, they want to be a part of because they want to be understood.
Yep.
They want to be heard. You know what I mean? They want to be supportive. So I feel like that is definitely important. And being a coach or you just having your podcast, you're able to, relay a message that's going to resonate with someone. It's going to resonate with your tribe.
Yep.
Whether that's 5,000, 10,000, 300, or even 2 people, you're going to attract the right people around. So I feel like that is just like the key. There is confidence, definitely, but you being authentic, your message out there. You know what I mean? Even I don't know if you get these messages all the time, like on Facebook, like you friend request someone or they friend request you and you accept it and they instantly just push their service onto you.
Yep, that happens. Yep.
I'm just like, wow, you didn't even butter me up. You didn't even have a conversation with me or, ask me how my day was going. And how do you know if I actually need that service?
Right. I think
I haven't gotten the time to get to know you.
You know what? I think it's more of being bold, and they're just like, hey, if they need your service, they'll say yes. And if they don't, then, that we just keep it moving. And that takes a lot of guts because not everyone could do that, have that type of confidence to be able to just go out there and just reach out to people. Like I reach out to people for help. Like I saw someone that was doing something that I want to do. And so I just saw them on a flyer. And so I said, hey, I'm going to send a message and see, because you never know what type of response. And I think that in business or anything that you do, and I've heard stories where people say, just for certain jobs and stuff, when they're researching younger people, when they're trying to get into an industry, they see someone that's doing something that they would like to do. They just reach out to them and just say, hey, saying, can I ask some questions? I think it's a certain way to do things, but I do understand what you're saying with people that's trying to sell something or wanting you to be a part of something, and they just so boldly just and when I used to be a part of Beachbody, and we would reach out to people and stuff, and it was so hard for me because when you're talking about weight loss and asking people to join a group, they could easily become offended because it's just like, well, how do you see me? For you to be able to just feel that be that confident enough to just reach out to me and say that. And I used to, that bothered me a lot because I felt like that's how people were looking at it. And sometimes people didn't know how to say, I don't want to be bothered. Or maybe sometimes people didn't even want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? It's like the audacity of you. How do you feel it's okay for you to just say that to me? It's almost like walking up to someone randomly and just saying, hey, you know what? You mind? I want you to be a part of my weight loss group. And it's just like, no, you can't say that. But for some people, I mean, it depends on how they write that story or how they write that message in their inbox. And there are a lot of people that move forward with it because it may be something that crossed their mind at some point. And then some people are like, no, I'm not looking to lose weight. Or if I do, I know where to look for somebody. I don't need your help. Get out my inbox.
Exactly. And it's just like, hey, what if they actually did need that service, but your message was just like
terrible?
Hey,
yes,
you know what I mean? So it's just, I'm all for pitching. I'm all for pitching, but I'm all about just actually being genuine.
Yes, not being genuine, not trying to sell me.
Exactly. So it's just like I get everybody here is trying to make a living. Everybody has some sort of product or service that someone might actually need. But you got to ask the right questions. You got to probe. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's important. It's
violating. That's what it is. It's violating. And to me, I feel like it's kind of manipulating as well, too, because I know that people... I know that people kind of like go through your pictures and your profile and kind of try to feed off of what you're putting out there, whatever like that. Even there's been scammers that follow you on your page, and then they look at your profile and see things that you write, and then they try to come at you. Like if they see you write about God or something like that and stuff like that, they try to use your conversation and then try to connect with you with those same words. And it's just like, man, is that person in my mind? Because a lot of times, especially people that you be trying to play dating and stuff like that, they watch what you say, watch your movement, the things that you post, and then they bring that right back to you. And you don't even know that they've been preying on you all along. So you have to be very careful with that. That's not business. That's not genuine. That's not genuine business. I believe that it's manipulation. And that is something that I don't encourage anyone. I don't encourage anyone to do that type of stuff.
And that's the scary thing. And that's why I also feel like it's important to go with your gut intuition when you are being approached a certain way, whether you're dating or someone's trying to sell your product. They're just like, wait a second, let me go to this person's profile. Let me see what they're all about.
Yeah.
You really have to investigate certain things because scamming is definitely at all-time high.
It is.
So you have to be very mindful. And for business owners, entrepreneurs who are definitely listening to this right now, be authentic. Be authentic and go with what really aligns with you, because your audience or people, they're definitely going to be able to feel and see that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I totally agree.
Blueprint.
I totally agree. I want to say thank you so very much for just joining us. Joining me today and just having this conversation. Again, the biggest key for me wanting to do a podcast is because I know that everyone has a story and everyone has something to share. And I want to say, I wanted us to lay it all out on the table. And I think that we did, and allow people to take whatever it is that they need from this and then apply that to their life or hold on to it, because they might need this in another season of their life. There's so much that I've learned from other people that I might not need it at that time, but I was able to go back and say, you know what, I heard this or I remember this. So I sold it into my heart and allow it to manifest at the right time. So hopefully people gain something from this conversation that we have, and that it hopefully that it helps them in their future. Now, I want you to tell everyone again, tell them your name and then the name of your company and how they can follow you.
Yes. So my name is Misha and I'm the founder of Goals AF. Now the AF stands for Ambitious Females.
You know what? You had me fooled, because I'm not going to tell you what I thought it was.
And I specialize in helping women become more fearless and confident to start achieving more success in their business. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at GoalsAFCO. My website is goalsafco.com. Hit me up, say hi, and let's get to know each other. I'm open to networking, getting to know you, helping you thrive and really, start achieving all your goals, creating a blueprint just for you.
Oh, that's so perfect. That's so perfect. And you know what? I want to say again, thank you so very much for coming on and sharing. And then when people hear this story, they're going to know that you're an example of exactly what you're creating, because your boldness moved you from one place. And listen, you're being bold in your movement and confident in what you're doing. And hey, hopefully other people will see that exact same thing and say, hey, I want to work with you, or tell me a little bit more about your story, because I've been in a situation and didn't know how to move, how to leave, so you'll be able to give them that confidence and show them exactly what your movement looked like. So again, thank you so very much for joining me. And hopefully, hey, I may hit you up again and have you to come back.
Oh, yes, I would love that. Yes, please.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by the Twindle Foundation. The Twindle Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to changing the wealth gap of African Americans and minorities by increasing homeownership. Did you know that 44% of Black families own their home compared to 73% of white families? A barrier to minority homeownership is student loan debt. Through scholarship, the Twindle Foundation is providing minority students with an opportunity to take on less financial debt. To give to the Twindle Foundation, visit www.twindlefoundation.org.